I haven't even seen it.
This was one of your topics you sent to me.
What's it titled? You guys
Stress, burnout, and responsibility at the top. My notes on this thing, I'm pretty sure go front and back. If not, take up a whole page.
Okay, so fair warning, guys. If you're sensitive, click off now.
Yeah.
And I might disagree, again, because we're getting two different perspectives. So this is, again, titled Stress, Burnout, and Responsibility at the top.
I really focused hard on stress and burnout because it's something I definitely have experienced. It's one of those really big things that I have probably felt the most out of all of these topics here.
Not even just mentally, but physically.
Yeah. They both go hand in hand. Stress and burnout often go hand in hand. Stress can easily lead to burnout if it's not actively managed. I mean, especially when you're going, 16-hour work days is a lot of some of my days in the summer. I mean, I get up, I go outside, or I go to work or whatever, and I don't get home until it's dark. I get up with the sun and I get home when it's midnight, or whatever. I work until I can't, And the ability to handle stress is huge, A personal example, I handle stress really, really, really good outwardly. Like, you can probably attest, you can see me thick of the earnings season, thick of, like, the busiest time, and I look decently normal, aside from probably wrecked out about being tired. But I don't seem, like, on edge. I don't seem like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
The stress, I'm really able to internalize stress, although it does manifest to everybody a little bit differently. For me, I have different copes that happen when I sleep. I stress grind my teeth really bad, like to the point where my girlfriend had to wake me up to have me knock it off.
Yeah.
I clench and stuff. I have to go to the dentist for different like things sometimes because my jaw gets to the point where it hurts and I can't chew. You
ever wear a mouth guard when you sleep?
I am supposed to. I'm a little cheap, I guess, and I don't want to spend the $800 on a mouth guard. So I just kind of deal with it right now. So I leave it to me. I make decent money, and I still don't want to spend something like that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
For other people, it could manifest in irritability, fatigue, or you could even feel detached from family members or friends, emotionless. That's another really big one. Uh-huh. That's when it's a telltale sign. Maybe I need to take a little bit of a break.
Emotionless.
Yeah. I know sometimes I've felt emotionless in the past where it's like I just feel nothing because I'm just working all the time, which you just get into it. You get into a groove, right? You get into a thing where I wake up, I work, I go to bed. I wake up, I work, I go to bed. It's not necessarily always a bad feeling. It can be an issue if you have like a relationship, like a girlfriend or a wife. They'll be like, hey, you're not really acting like you used to. And then you just kind of got to readjust and realize that, hey, maybe I am a little stressed. What can I do to mitigate this stress? Self-awareness is huge. It's the most crucial thing you could possibly have when you're under high stress loads, high working conditions. You want to recognize where and how stress appears in your life, and you want to figure out ways to maintain that successful approach that you've been taking. You've been making great strides. You got to remember that everybody needs a break once in a while. Even myself, I take a break once in a while. I know you want to take off as much time, even if it's just an evening away from work, which can really help. Do something enjoyable to clear your mind, whether it's socializing, gaming, or spending time with family. Even if it's, like I said, 30 minutes or maybe an hour. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Whatever you can reasonably give yourself time for if you're feeling that burnout, it can do wonders to when you want to start working again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you got to keep some kind of, structure. You can't just be like, I'm going to take a break and then just not do anything for a long time. You got to be like, set a timer or something that keeps you on track. But you'd be surprised, even the smallest amount of time. Like when you used to live where I used to work, we'd go and get lunch on the afternoons after my work was done. Yeah. It was really nice. We'd grab a couple drinks, we'd get some dinner, and then I'd go home and I'd feel great for the next week. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this big, long thing. It can be just an afternoon. Yeah. I know for myself personally, since it's pretty slow in December, January, I don't completely stop working, obviously. No. I still did a decent amount of work, but I took a pretty laid back position this year and every year through December, January, about a month and a half. I'd take some extra time in the morning having my coffee or play a couple extra games with my friends, go to a couple more extra movies or dinner dates with the girlfriend, play a couple board games with the family more often. It happens to coalesce around Christmas time, so it's nice. You get to have that more family exposure anyway. Plus, you take a laid-back position from work for a while, just because it's slower. It does wonders resetting you for the coming year,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So that's a really good way to help do it as well. If break isn't possible, if you're not able to take a break, push through burnout by focusing on your goals. You can use headphones, listening to different podcasts you find enjoyable, maybe some different music that you really like, and just remind yourself that feeling is temporary and the reward for reaching your goal is worth the effort you're putting in.
I can tell this is like your survival list that you went through.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming there are times where you were on the brink.
Yeah. There's been, especially in the fall when I'm working at the warehouse and I'm the only one there, you can hear the wind make the warehouse creak or whatever, and you're working your ass off, and it's like, man, I wish I could just be asleep right now.
Right.
After you drink your second or third energy drink of the day, it's like, these things taste like crap.
Yeah.
After a certain time, and it's like, I hate this, and then you just got to sit down, stop yourself, and think. A couple more weeks of this, it's going to be over before I know it. The extra X amount of $1,000 I make in this, 1 month time frame, 2 month time frame, or I think it was 2.5 months this year, because I started working earlier than I normally do, because I just wanted extra, more money to throw into stocks and investments. And you got to sit down, you got to tell yourself, it will all be worth it in the end. You just got to keep going, So, and then we can touch a little bit on responsibility. I want to say responsibility at the top, it does increase. You'll have more daily tasks, and you may need to make more key decisions about company directions and deals. So a lot of people think of he's an owner. It's got to be so easy, right? It's he makes all the money. He's relaxing. It's whatever. But really, being an owner, there is a lot of work that people don't see behind the scenes. If you have employees, every decision you make affects them, because if it's a failed decision, then if the company, let's say, goes bankrupt or something, they no longer have a job. They rely on you for their living,
or you lose money and then you cut their wages,
or layoffs or whatever too. You are constantly weighing every single decision. You're taking on all that risk. It's a high stress, high stakes situation in many cases. Especially if you're closing deals or sales deals or whatever, you're trying to get the best possible price, and so is your adversary. So you're both are well, this is my final offer, but is it really your final offer? I have no idea. Just like they're asking the same question to me. Is that really his final offer? I have no idea. I got to figure something out here because I don't want to lose this deal. Yeah. So I responsibility gets greater. It changes as well. You get more responsibility, and it becomes a little bit more serious. If you're somebody that's working the cash register, your responsibility is to don't get robbed. If somebody comes in, make sure the till's right, and make sure to show up and work on time. That's pretty much it. Maybe you have a couple other things. I'm just giving some examples, but that's not all that hard of responsibilities. At least I wouldn't think so. But then, somebody at the top, it's I got to make sure that this decision doesn't put the company in a disadvantaged position.
Right.
And I even wrote on here as well, in small businesses especially, leaders often wear multiple hats. I know I do myself. I wear a top-down management hat, and customer relations to even sales or grunt work. All your little hats that you wear, your management hats. That's what my business professor used to say as well. Yeah. That managers wear multiple different hats. Some days you're in sales. Some days you're in customer relations, trying to settle down some kind of argument between an employee and a customer. Even if the customer is in the wrong, you still kind of got to be I understand what you're saying.
Customer's
Relax,
always right. Customer's always right.
Yeah, you got to just continue to tell yourself that, even if it would feel good to be you know what? It's just no, their experience will drive more people if you even if you have to just say hey, you know what? I was wrong. Next time we'll do better. Even if you don't have to give any successions, just a nice admission of guilt and an apology will go a long way. They'll respect you to the ends of time. It's crazy, some of the things you see. I worked customer relations. I still do sometimes for the family business, and it is really crazy if you just acknowledge, even if it's the worst thing you've ever heard, if they're being the worst type of person, like so mean and terrible, if you just acknowledge it and be like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. You know, we can try to do it better next time. They're one of your most loyal customers in like a week. It's the weirdest thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you just got to give them a little bit of like, I hear you, you know?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah. And then another thing I wrote here is, as echoed by business professors, small business owners frequently juggle many roles to keep their company running smoothly, which is what I do on a daily basis, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to read that one word for word because I think that one was very important.